Hello, career thought leaders. Good to see you here for our first live of the year. Well, I guess not. It's first, not the first live, but good to see you here, anyways. And today, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about confidence because confidence has kind of been our theme here for the beginning part of this year. As you know, I was invited to speak in a confidence conference. And it just happened to coincide with a session that Marietta and I were doing on confidence. But I found some really interesting things as we've been doing all of this work. And I wanted to share one of those interesting things with you today and one of the tools that might be helpful with each of these that you could use with your clients. So I am going to drop in the comments the link to this confidence event that I'm doing. My recording runs tomorrow, so you can still RSVP. It's free. And then my kind of confidence story is going to be part of her event tomorrow. So jump over there and find that. And hello, it's good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, and feel free to say hello to each other in the chat. And if I can't see your name, you can put that in there as well, just so that I can say hello to you by name. So as we were doing our confidence event that we did last week with Marietta Gentles Crawford, she always just brings such interesting ideas. And she'd come to me and said, let's talk about confidence, because that's something that job seekers and career advancers, everybody struggles with. And we're struggling with it even more now that everything is even more uncertain. Our careers feel uncertain. We're staying at home and we're juggling a million different things, and that eats away at our confidence, especially when we're, maybe on a meeting and our kids are in the background, or we're thinking about, is my husband going to walk in while I'm on this live? There's just these little pieces of things that kind of undermine our confidence, and she was exactly right. So, hey, Jude, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm so glad that you are. Welcome. So one of the things that I found as we were doing this session was the idea that there's actually 3 levels of confidence. And so I want to talk about those 3 levels today. And they are confidence, self-confidence, or self-assurance. I'm going to kind of lump those 2 together. And then this idea of self-esteem. And as I was reading, it seemed pretty clear that most people consider those to be 3 separate things. So we're going to dive into what they are and share some things about how we could help our clients develop them. And of course, love to hear any ideas that you have as well. So most people describe confidence as our ability to do something. So I'm confident in my ability to network, or maybe I'm not confident in my ability to network. But as a coach, we can help clients gain confidence in specific skills, especially as they relate to job search, because we can have them do that, right? Go and do that, and then get some feedback, and then you can practice it and you can get better and build your confidence in doing that specific thing. Now, this is where sometimes people might say, fake it till you make it, go out and do it anyways, even though you don't feel confident. And this is important because confidence is a feeling. It is something that people don't feel confident even when they should, right? When they've done those actions, they've done that before, they can do it. They don't feel confident, but they could decide to feel confident. And I kind of shared that a week or so ago on my LinkedIn, that we can choose to feel confident, just like we can choose to feel happy. It may be not as genuine sometimes as others, but that is something that we can do. We can choose that. Hi, Jackie, good to see you. So if you have any other thoughts about how you help your clients build confidence in a specific task and something that they do, we can do that, especially with the things that they might be doing for job search or career transition, because they can do it, they can practice it, they can have us sitting there and kind of being their cheerleader to go and do this anyways, even though they might not be feeling confident. So that's confidence, typically related to doing something specific, carrying out a task. So self-assurance or self-confidence is our belief in our ability to do things in general. So I'm self-confident, I'm self-assured that I can learn new things and I can do new things. Now, this tends to run low in our job seekers perhaps because they've faced a lot of rejection, or perhaps because they haven't felt successful in their careers. And one of the pieces of the resume development process, if you will, the resume development process that I love, is that it really helps people build their self-confidence, their self-assurance, because they reconnect with, hey, look at all of these times that you've been successful. And it's one of the great ways to help build someone's self-assurance or self-confidence is to see that pattern of all of the times they've been successful in many different places, many different ways. And we get that pattern of, hey, I've been successful and able to do things, so I'll probably be able to do this too. In the counseling world, we use the tool called that, kind of that positive appraisal or appreciative inquiry, where you're really diving in and looking at what's gone right. So then you can carry that confidence forward. And a few weeks ago, we were talking about resume gaps. Maybe I was talking about this with a group out of Singapore, talking about resume gaps. And I said, one of the challenges that I see people face when they're doing resume process and they have a gap is that they follow the client and dive into that gap first. Well, you don't have anything to build on. And so you're trying to you're trying to fill the gap, but the person's feeling downtrodden, they're feeling like they don't have anything to offer. And so that creative process is really stunted. Whereas if we could start with the appreciative inquiry, what's the best things that they've done in their career? What are their top skills? What are their top accomplishments? Then when we get to, okay, now we've got to address this gap, we have that positive feeling to build off of, and they're going to be more creative, have better ideas, and be able to put the pieces together because they're already focused in on, hey, this is my best stuff. This is what I can offer. So I love this. A new resolution is to join me every Tuesday. I love it. I'll drop the link in here, but you can sign up to get the email reminders, and we do 24 hours ahead and a week ahead. And if you ever have a topic that you want to talk about, feel free to let me know. If you want to join me, you can join me live. It's very similar to Zoom. I send you a link and you join me and we share the screen live. So let me know if you want to do that. But this idea, this general self-assured self-confidence, is one of the big points that Marietta was making in this session, because it's what kind of acts as that buoy. It keeps us going from thing to thing and moving as we go forward. Now, as we talked about, I shared this once before, but this idea of how personal branding factors into it, I'm going to share it again because I just love it. And this is kind of messy because it's just my slide. But in our personal branding program, we've been kind of searching out some data because we know this as coaches, right? When people feel better about themselves, they're more likely to go out there and do the things they need to do to get work, which this data showed, yes, if people understand their personal brand, who they are, the value that they add, this is not surface level, this is deeper, then they have a higher level of perceived employability. Hey, people will hire me because I understand my value and now I can communicate that. And then that perceived employability means that they'll more likely to end up somewhere where they feel satisfied in their career. And that power of personal branding is part of why we teach it and part of why we love it. And it builds into each area of confidence in some ways, I think, and perhaps a little bit more into this self-assurance or self-confidence area where I just feel better about myself in general in terms of my ability to do things. That leads us to our last area of confidence, which is self-esteem. And self-esteem is my belief in my worth, right? My self-worth. I am worthy. And that isn't related to my performance in things. So confidence is my ability to, do a task. Self-assurance or self-confidence is general ability to do tasks. Self-esteem is I am worthy. And I'm not going to connect that to my performance in tasks. It's going to be separate from that. And that makes it more lasting. It makes it stronger, and it makes it more of a buoy for me to feel positive and to bounce back when I'm getting negative reinforcement or not negative reinforcement, negative input, negative feedback from people or from the job search. So how do we help people develop their self-esteem to believe that they're worthy and to really practice, because I believe it's a kind of an everyday practice, to avoid connecting my worth to my performance, because we are taught, most of us, in fact, at least I think from an early age, to kind of judge our worth based on performance. Oh, you got an A, or whatever it might have been. And our parents didn't do it purposefully, right? It's how we connect those things. And so as a parent, I'm always mindful of that. How can I make sure that I'm helping my kids know that they're worthy regardless of their performance? And it's easiest for me to think about this concept when we think about a child or a puppy or a kitty, right? That they are worthy no matter what they do, and they're worthy without doing anything. They deserve life. They deserve respect and to be taken care of, or whatever you might think, no matter what they do. And oftentimes we can start judging our performance in terms of our role. But what would it look like if we took away all of those roles? What do we value about ourselves? And this is one of my favorite journaling activities. It's in our appreciative inquiry journaling activity that I got from Don Shute at the University of Wisconsin. And he talks about appreciative inquiry, but part of his journaling that maybe he didn't even know, but it does this, is one of the questions says, what do you value about yourself? And it asks people to look at their roles. What do you value about yourself as a wife, as a partner, as a mom, as a dad, as a daughter, as a son? What do you value about yourself? But if we take it that one step deeper and say, okay, here are the things that you value about yourself, then how can we judge our own performance, our own value on how we are, how we live those values, instead of how other people might judge that performance? It's a very interesting idea, and something that I've worked on for myself is, how do I separate that out? And I learned about this topic in terms of our self-worth from my sales coach, because here's what he said. And if you're a business owner, this is particularly true, but I think our job seekers get this same thing, that if we're connecting our worth to our performance and other people's appraisal of our performance, we are on a roller coaster. So as a job seeker, if I think I'm worthy because I get an interview, then I go up and I feel great. And then if I think I'm not worthy because I don't get an interview, I go to the bottom of the elevator or roller coaster. And it really messes with my motivation to ride that roller coaster. If I'm in sales or in business, the same thing happens. If I'm attaching my value as a person to my performance, then my motivation is only as good as my last performance was. If I get negative feedback, I'm not very likely to pick up that phone again or go post on LinkedIn again, because I'm tying that value of myself to my performance review. And if no one's giving me good kudos, I'm not doing the things I want to be doing. I'm not doing the things I value. The other challenge is this is that we start to chase that performance appraisal and maybe do the things that aren't the most important for us to do. So I'm going to do the things that I think will give me positive vibes, but they're not really the things that I want to do or need to do or value in my work-life world. And so there's a lot of implications for people throughout their career to really being able to separate their value from their appraisal. And it doesn't mean we don't pay attention to that feedback from people, but that we don't take it to that core and really take it into much to our worth and our self-esteem. So those are the 3 levels of confidence. I just found it a fascinating thing to think about how we can help people at each level feel more confident in a task and executing something, look at their confidence and self-assurance, self-confidence in general, remind them that they can do things, that they are good, and then that self-worth piece being even a little bit deeper, to just remind them of their value and their worth as a being, and help them separate that from this connection to their performance appraisal, especially. So someone's saying that struggle with how not to connect my work to my performance. Yeah, and for me, it's a daily practice to really think about that. I return a lot of homework to our resume writing students, And oftentimes that's a struggle for me because I'm giving them negative feedback, and I don't want them to not like me because I'm giving them this negative feedback, right? And I have to reconnect myself to that doesn't reflect my value. And of course, there's positive reasons that we're giving that negative feedback to people, and how can we make sure that it's as positive and constructive as possible, but it's part of the program, right? It's part of our growth. So as we think about that, like I said, for me, it helps to think about that child or kitty or puppy and how they are worthy no matter what. And then to practice it in the feedback that I give to others, making sure to not connect feedback on performance to their worth as a person. And then I remember to not do that for myself as well. Hi, Lois. Good to see you. Um, if you have other thoughts around confidence or other articles that you see, Barbara Dieters just posted one on LinkedIn that was about how employers don't want arrogance, they want confidence. And here's the thing about that. So most of the time, arrogance comes from not really feeling confident. And so I feel like I have to puff myself up, or I have to toot my own horn in a way that comes across as arrogant instead of confidence. When people are really comfortable with their value and really clear, especially on what they want to communicate and what's most important, it can much more easily come across as confident instead of arrogant, which is part of why we love that personal branding program and all of the coaching that we do, and even our resume writing services help people really connect to the value that they offer in a specific way, so that when they tell those specific stories, it can come across as confidence, not as arrogance. So I'll find the link to that and come back and post it here too, because it helps us think about the difference between those things and how we can help our clients do that differently. Ooh, struggles with imposter syndrome. So we talked about this as well, and how that imposter syndrome is oftentimes related to self-assurance. So I feel like I don't belong here, and I'm not good enough to be doing whatever I'm doing. And that can relate back to confidence. I've never done that thing before, so I need to practice it and build my skills. It can also relate back to that general idea of self-assurance, that I can do things, I can do new things, I can strike out and experiment. And if I feel that self-assurance, I might be less likely to feel that imposter syndrome. And I think a lot of it comes with doing and getting that practice, so that we can feel like, hey, I've done that, I can do that again. But love to hear your thoughts too on other ways you see imposter syndrome creeping in there. Comparison can also lead to that imposter syndrome. I just was talking to the photographer who's running this confidence event, and she's saying she's in the new app Clubhouse, where everything's audio, and she's listening to photographers who work for Vogue and those things, and kind of feeling like, oh, do I belong here? And she's still running a confidence event and still struggling with that feeling of imposter syndrome. And how do you get over that? And she's just going back to Clubhouse, right? Going back and being in those rooms and contributing and listening, so that she can gain the confidence to interact and to add value in that space, which is interesting. Always something new, always a new challenge. When I think back, so it's been about a year now that I've been going live every Tuesday here. And I look back at some of those videos, and even some of the videos today, where I can tell that I didn't feel confident that day, because there's something just a little bit off about my presence. But I was there, I showed up anyways, and there's probably a few of you that know me well that would be able to watch those videos too and say, oh, something was going on with Marie that day. But not, probably not that many, because you're there and you show up and you get better at it. And you get better at being authentic and sharing some of those things, which then can reduce those feelings as well by sharing it. Yeah, now feeling worthy even though you are. And that self-assurance is that piece of, I can be here. I've done the things that show I can be here, but I'm not connected to and that self-assurance of that I belong here. Yeah. Yeah, and it definitely helps to stop comparing yourself to others. It's one of my favorite quotes. Comparison is the thief of joy. I believe that's a Churchill quote, but I would have to go back and look that up. Comparison is the thief of joy. And we have to help ourselves and our clients to not do that, right? How can we judge our performance for ourselves without doing that? And this goes back to what my sales coach had said. And he said, write down 12 qualities of things that are really important to you. And then at the end of the day, you are judging your own performance on those things, regardless of how other people might view your performance. And to write those down kind of across roles. So what do I value about myself as a mom, as a partner, as a, in my work? And then at the end of the day, to really look at that and say, okay, was I responsive today? Did I come from a place of abundance today? Was I present today? That's a big one with my family and my kids, right? And so at the end of the day, I'm judging myself on those areas that are important to me versus what someone else might say about that or not, to help build that confidence, self-assurance, but also to keep that connection to my self-worth separate from other people's performance appraisal of me. So that was one of his tools that I enjoy and still use today. Well, if you have any other thoughts around confidence, please feel free to share them. The event that we did last week is still available, or the recording of it is available. We had a lot of fun. We had some conversation. We did some pairs coaching, but you can get the recording from that if you want to. And then, of course, we have 2 spots left in our Certified Personal Branding Strategist course. So if you're interested in jumping in on that and really getting some tools to help people and yourself get that baseline, that foundation of who I am and what I do and how that's valuable to my audience, that's what that Certified Personal Branding Strategist course is. It's really that foundational piece. So we look forward to seeing you with any of our upcoming events. And of course, we'll be back here next Tuesday with another trend topic for you. And let me know if you have any suggestions. We'll see you next Tuesday.